Hello, everybody. This is Doug Evans.
I'm David Zapka.
Tyler Hicks.
Hey, Block.
For the past 3 months, we've been doing these webinars called the Connected Project Workflow. So just to kind of revisit what that is, we're doing a series of webinars that show you what can happen if you are using SDS2 on Edge and all your partners are on Edge. And it kind of can create a complete new workflow with new possibilities that just weren't possible when everybody was segmented on their own technology and not connected together in the cloud. So we put together a series to show you the advances we can do when working in the cloud with different partners at the same time with the same application. So we've been excited to do the webinar series and are anxious to go forward with more. So I'll let Tyler take over the PowerPoint from here.
Perfect. Thanks, Doug. So yeah, what is the connected project workflow? You know, we've kind of gone through a couple examples we've thrown out of ways that people could take advantage of not only our multi-user, functionality of having multiple people in the model, but then putting it on the cloud to let people in different locations come in at different times. That's kind of what live model interaction by multiple internal and external stakeholders means. Just being able to access information, update it, and make more informed decisions as the project rolls along. So Edge allows us to do that with our multi-user database. So we started out, we were talking about engineers, project managers, did some workflow with detailers as well. Today we're going to focus on the fabricator, maybe a back and forth with an engineer in that respect, and kind of go through what can happen and how we can solve problems quicker by all being able to communicate easier. So what we're going to look at here with the fabrication questions is, being able to adapt at any point of the project. The old way of doing things where it was, I've got an RFI, send off a piece of paper or an email, that just creates a time gap that, you may not have. So by being able to adapt at any point in the project, it gives you a lot more options to get the job out the door quicker, whether it's a scheduling issue, and then we'll show how we can cost estimate those changes, just all in the software very quickly. So the key to the live collaboration, we've kind of walked through this while we were giving the previous presentations, and we're going to do the same here, is just being able to get everybody in the same model, to really get to that model approval or model review stage of a project, and quit creating these 3D models to shove down to 2D drawings to send back and forth, because everyone's got the model, all that information is there. That's the source of truth. So let's just work with that. And with these tools with Edge, it just makes that a lot easier to have people log in and take a look at something. So in our little demo today, what we're going to cover is, like I said before, adapting at any point of a project, schedule issues, and the cost of those changes that we can find out very quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this up here.
I'm going to turn off our cameras now. While Tyler jumps into the Edge platform, we'll turn off our cameras so we get full screen.
All right, so while we're in here, we're going through and we've got these statuses set. And if you remember from before, I'll pull up the legend here so we can determine what these colors are. We've got our yellow is going to be stuff that's already fabrication complete. Green has been things that have been released for fabrication. The maroon or purple has been approved by the engineer, and the orange has been submitted by the detailer. If we had anything red, we could status that on hold. And you can really color code this to whatever standards you like, but this is just kind of what we chose here. So to take advantage of Edge and what we're doing here, an issue has come up, and I'm going to bring Nate in. He's going to play the role of the fabricator here. So an issue has come up for something that's already been released for fabrication. So there's something that it's gone through the approval process, everything's been given the thumbs up on, and now we have an issue here after it's been released. Nate, take it away.
Yeah, so as the project manager, I've been grinding for weeks on this project. I've been updating my statuses. I've been tracking my steel through the shop and communicating with all my stakeholders on the project. We're all on the same page. And we've reached that point on a job that, we all hope for, where it's a big sigh of relief. I'm releasing steel to the shop. I'm sending out my erection drawings, and then you get that speed bump in the road. And so for this example today, we're looking at these rolled beams. And so for my shop's sake, this is a specialty item. So we don't have any equipment in the shop to roll any of our own beams. So I got to order these out. And because I procrastinated, I find out that these are going to be delayed. And now I'm kind of in a time crunch. So one way that I want to try to speed up the process of these beams once they get here is, you know, for example, let's say my clipping machine is down. And so I already know ahead of time it's going to take a while to process these beams. So how can I speed that up? Well, with the power of SDS2, I can just go in, change the connection to extended shear tabs. And then that way, once it gets into my shop, I know that we're not going to have to touch those end of the beams to cope anything. It's just going to speed that whole process up. So I'm just going to jump in here. I'm on edge so everybody can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to update these connections. And it should update those right away. So now that I've made these changes, we have this awesome tool. It's called the cost estimating tool. And I highly recommend a lot of fabricators check this out, because just by running this tool on any items in the model, it's just a really fast, efficient, and accurate cost breakdown. So you can run this prior to any changes and then run it right after you make those changes, for example, in this case, and you get a really quick breakdown of what it's going to cost you. And this is really valuable to make these decisions in this case, whether or not it's worth the change or not. So I know exactly how much that change is going to cost me in the long run. Is it worth saving time? I mean, at the end of the day, that's all we care about, is saving time and making more money, right? So it's just a really valuable tool, and I really recommend that everybody checks it out. So now that I've made that decision, I need to get it approved. So I'm going to go ahead and bring David in, who's going to be the engineer. And we're just going to do a quick model review. I get him on the phone, say, hey, David, this is what I want to do. This is why I'm doing it. You know, do you approve of what we're doing?
All right. Yep. And, you know, as the engineer, you know, connections are probably fine. The different type of connection is probably fine. What I'm worried about is the structural integrity of those connections. So again, one of the great benefits of SDS2 is our connection calcs that we run to design those connections. So I can go into that model, view those calcs as soon as Nate makes that change. If I've got like an approval license of SDS2, or maybe even an engineering license of SDS2, on Edge, I'm connected. As soon as he makes those changes, I can go into that live model, view this, check everything out, make sure it's good, put my stamp on it, and we're good to go, Nate.
Yep, and just like that. So now we just did that all on the fly. I can get my beams released in the shop, and boom, we'll just keep things moving as quick as possible and stay basically on schedule with our deadlines. And again, that's what this is all about, just being connected to everybody on a project and just getting things moving as quickly as possible. Back to you, Tyler.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So yeah, that's kind of what we're going to go through today. And again, it gets back to just being able to communicate with your partners easier, being able to get people to log in, take a look at the model, spin it around, and just enhance that process of getting information back and forth. And at the end of the day, it just makes for a better project, a better experience for everybody involved, from the owner all the way down to the erector. So thanks for joining us. Right now, we're going to turn it over and do some questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and we'll take our best shot at answering them.
Again, thanks everybody for joining. So we'll go ahead and open the questions and answer segment now. So if you have any questions, go ahead and post them. I'll be watching them. So here's one. How do I get access to that cost estimator? David.
So the cost estimator is part of what we call a toolbox. So kind of a new thing we're doing to try to get more plugins and more tools to you faster than waiting on individual releases. So we're working out some of the kinks on our website to get that just on our website, but anybody who is current on their software maintenance can have access to that. Currently, if you want to contact your sales rep or your support rep, any of those people should be able to get that to you. We'll send you an email to download and everything. So
there was another one that I'll take on the cost estimator, as well as how it comes up with the costing. So there's a setup. It doesn't include the labor values at this point. but there's a setup for all your cost of material per foot based off the member types, so nominal depth and the section size. And then it has a hole, cost per hole, cost per bolt, cost per weld based on what the weld is. So you'll get pretty accurate material cost, and then the cost to do certain functions, but your labor to do transferring and stuff like that won't be included. And that's something you'll have to do with the way you've been doing it in the past. So see if there's any other questions. Not seeing any, and maybe we did a really good job this time.
So is there a license, Doug, that allows the engineer to change the model, make updates to connections in a model, kind of like what Nate did as a project manager, as the detailer, but maybe only make limited to modifying connections? Maybe they can't mess with all the miscellaneous steel and things like that.
Yes, so right now we do have the STS2 engineering product, which allows you to do connection design. You can place members, and then you can also do connection design. So then you'd have access to all the status, all the color coding you see here. So you can control that very well. And then we also, as we've all done, model approval seminars with AISC. You could use, just if you wanted to just do the approving level as an engineer, where you could run the counts that you did there and then set the statuses. You could do that with the approval license. So there's a couple options, way to go, depending on how integrated you are with your partners.
Well, I see one there. Do you know anyone actually doing this? That's a good one. Actually, yeah, and it was a couple years ago. So there's, detailers, fabricators, engineers, Jim Stever, Doug Fitzpatrick. They were doing this live model review, a couple years ago. They had it figured out and were heading down that road with it. It's something that it is cutting edge to some people, but some people have been doing it already. So definitely look into it and find a good partner on a project, and it's something that has worked out well.
And I do think that's the key. The technology is one level, but really the key is the communication and getting your partners to buy into it. And so as everybody buys into the communication level, so what Nate and David did with the changing the connection could take weeks in certain scenarios, because the communication isn't there and the access to the technology is not there. But if it is there, this can happen. And so it's a lot about the communication, but this technology can help that. So yes, I got another question. Do we have a recorded session of how a model approval process might go? Yeah, we do have several videos on that. And you might look at our YouTube site right now, and then I can send you one of what we do have recorded. We have them broken down in segments of submitting for approval, receiving from approval, approving. So we've kind of broken that out in different video sessions. So we can provide you some content there. It's on a little older version, but the functionality exists and cleaner even yet today. Okay, seeing more questions. Give another few seconds for questions. Go ahead and wrap it up, Tyler.
All right, well, I appreciate everybody's time. Again, if you have questions, you want some more information about this, contact your salesperson. We'd be happy to help. And yeah, look forward to the next time we do one of these. And thank you again for joining us. Everybody have a great day.
Everybody have a great day, guys.
Everybody.